All right. Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. Over here to your left. All right. So I hope everybody had a good day. I was thinking of going live earlier today, but one of our members who has a podcast was live, and I was getting ready to post the live, and I said, "Oh, I'll just wait." So I just saved the breaking news for later. Hence the Let's Huddle. So shout out to y'all. Check out Tony Talks Vested Up. I think she's over there talking about the combine, different players leading up to the combine, or the combine has started. When I checked in, she was talking about Isaiah Bond and how fast he was. And I think she's been profiling players. So if y'all looking for draft coverage or pre-draft coverage or coverage on individual players, either it could be leading up to free agency, go check out Tony Talks Vested Up. She's one of our members here at What She Said Sports. All right. So shout out to Tony and I think I saw a few people, Faith and some other people over there. So shout out to y'all for showing love to each other. So let's get into it. All right, I have a good show planned for you. I have some breaking news. I have some fun stuff to share too. So let's see if we can get into it. All right. Yay. All right. All right. So I just finished dinner, so I was rushing around. All right. So on deck tonight, we got Colorado. We got some breaking news. We got Shedeur Sanders. I wanted to share, and I did in the community, but I wanted to get y'all's thoughts about Warren Sapp, who has moved on, right? So Coach Prime had posted, God is good today. And it's funny because Angel Reese had just posted the same thing. And I was like, wow, a lot of people are feeling blessed today, or, wanting to share how they feel. And y'all know Coach Prime and Angel Reese. I did a video on both of them that, they get a lot of hate. They get a lot of vitriol. So at the same time, they both were posted independently that God is good. Now, before that, it was announced that Warren Sapp had decided to resign from Colorado. And I wondered if it had anything to do with the appointment of the new linebackers coach that was a grad assistant, Dante Carter, that I told y'all for trench performance is like the select QB, but of the trenches. So that's our new linebacker coach. And then the defensive coordinator is now a coach that was just brought in. And neither one of them were Warren Sapp. So I'm wondering if his departure, his deciding to resign, was because he didn't get either of those positions. Y'all let me know. I'm just curious. I want to know your thoughts. All right. So best wishes and best of luck to Warren Sapp. Not sure what's next for him. He might already have a job. And maybe that's why he resigned from Colorado. But I want to hear your thoughts. I'm curious to see what y'all think. Again, spring practice starts on Monday. So we still have all of these changes. But a lot of these people are already on the ground, such as the new defensive coordinator, Marve, and Dante Carter, who's not a new linebackers coach. They already been working together. So I don't think it's a big, I don't think it will have a negative impact on spring practice. I wonder how much of a loss it will be to the program since Warren Sapp has been over there. I will say this. I recall year one with Warren Sapp. Well, when Warren Sapp started, which must be year two maybe, but it could be year one. I remember how when we played Texas Tech, his energy that he brought to the team, that was not there last year. So I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know if the defensive coordinator was like running a ship that he didn't want that kind of energy, but that energy was absent. It was the last year for Chidozie and all the guys before they went to the draft. Y'all remember they started playing swag surf and just the energy was crazy, but that was the energy that Warren Sapp brought to the team. So I wonder if that energy, that good energy that gets the team fired up that we didn't see last year, I'm wondering if that will be missed or if they already are back in the groove and they won't miss a step. Let me know your thoughts. All right. So, like I said, good luck. Best wishes to Warren Sapp. All right. So, Coach Prime, we waiting on your spring practice to start. I'm excited. I saw LaJohntay. I have been, I think of LaJohntay. Let's see where it is. Who was working out. Is this it? Who was working out with Julian Lewis. But this is actually Shedeur, who's back on his KFC grind. So I posted that in the community. Shedeur's back on his KFC grind. Y'all go show his commercial some love. But in the meantime, what I was trying to get to was this video right here. All right. So LeJounte is at CU training. I heard Shedeur was supposed to be up there. Well, at least I thought I heard Coach Prime say he wanted Shedeur to come up there. But Shedeur was in Florida. So maybe Shedeur will end up at Miami. So shout out to LeJounte. Let's take a listen to this. I heard he had some good words of encouragement, but he was throwing the ball around with Julian Lewis. Y'all know, I'm a big fan of all the buffs, but y'all know I'm in particular about the quarterbacks, and y'all know I keep calling him Pumpkin, but he older now. Juju. So let's check this out. LeJounte throwing the ball around, practicing with Juju and sharing words of wisdom with the other players, the other buffs.
It ain't gonna be able to just tell them, hey, throw it here, throw it there. You get paid this shit too. You gotta be out here looking at our secondary receivers and leadership.
So he's telling them, just in case y'all can't hear it, he's telling them, it doesn't matter what level you go in at, you still get paid. So, for people who feel some kind of way about being devalued, that's what LeJounte's advice was. It doesn't matter what level you go in, you still get paid. So shout out to LeJounte for dropping knowledge to the players. And I didn't know he was gonna be there all week. I know we saw him with Bucky, but I guess he's gonna be up there. Gonna train up there the whole season. So let's keep going. Now this is the ball to Julian to LeJounte. Great catch. I wonder if LeJounte will be wide receiver 1 for Baltimore this year. We'll be tracking him, watching him again as well.
You get paid this shit too. You gotta be out here looking at our secondary receivers and leadership. But they gonna have to walk you like a baby, like babysit you out here.
Nice to see Julian out there. All right, that's a dot. I like it. What do y'all think? I mean, it's nice for the players to be out there, and I wanted Shedeur to come back. I didn't know if LeJounte was on the radar to come back, but apparently he was. So he came back. Don't know if Travis gonna make it back. Jimmy came back earlier. Don't know if BJ Green is gonna make it back. But if Coach Prime could get those guys who made it to the league, who are still there, to come back and talk to the guys that are there, like to kind of share their journey a bit, I think it would help, right? And I think it also helps the program too, to see the buffs, the pro buffs come back and say, look, guys, y'all on the right path. What Coach Prime is teaching y'all to do is correct. It's a good idea if you do this, Y, Z. They might have questions like, should I really be doing NIL? Is it frowned on? Should I do any extra training? Is it necessary to have a third-party trainer in addition to what we do at school? I don't think he was there when Coach Swayze was there, though. But I was going to say, he could maybe tell them, well, Coach Swayze got his own players. Remember, Coach Swayze had 35 first-round draft picks. So when Alvin Kamara was there last year, that was a big boost to the program. So the former players coming back, be it Coach Swayze, hell, now Coach Dante Carter, he has over 26 teams in the NFL, 25, 26 teams with about 100 players. I counted. He's somewhere between 90 and 100 active NFL players that this man has trained. And I said, okay, I see why Coach Prime elevated him. That's huge. So between Coach Carter, the new linebackers coach, Coach Swayze, strength and development with his 35, that's 135. Then there's Coach Prime. His guys from last year, probably about 140. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the new energy. I watch the players. I watch their videos. I see how they bonded. That's huge. Last year was an anomaly because the energy was low. There was no bond. I didn't even see the energy from Warren Sapp. So last year was a one-off because Coach Prime always had like an energetic team. They always bonded. They even did bonding exercises where they went to this cabin by the river. So last year just was an anomaly. So I'm back on 100, dialed up with Colorado, hoping and praying that all of these new changes, and I kind of believe that they will get it done this year, right? So y'all know the first game is here in Atlanta. So let me know if anybody's going. All right. So shout out to Colorado for not missing a beat. When people leave late, it's not a big deal. and for all the excitement that people have looking forward to the program. I definitely am for one. So I will be keeping my jacket. I was never getting rid of the jacket because of Coach Prime. I said in the comments, should I keep my Colorado jacket? You know what people assumed? That because I was getting rid of a jacket that had Colorado Buffaloes on it, that I wasn't happy about Coach Prime. I said, this jacket don't say Shedeur Sanders or Coach Prime. This was about the way Colorado treated Coach Prime. And as fans, we should have a problem with that, right? We should have a problem with that. So Coach Prime still, keeping it going. And we're going to be rolling right there with him, right? We'll be rolling right there with him. This was a nice photo he put out today. So I'm probably going to update my thumbnails to include his latest photo. So shout out to Coach Prime. All right. Let's get on into Mr. Shedeur. I already showed y'all he was back on the grind at KFC. If you're just not joining us, I'm happy to see he still has that endorsement. But I bet Nike and KFC are excited about this.
What grade are you in?
6th.
What's your favorite sport?
Football.
You did good grade?
Yeah.
All right, then we lit.
So, Nike, Gatorade, KFC, hell, those airlines, I know they love this hard more than money. It should be
Joshua.
What grade are you in?
6th.
What's your favorite sport?
Football.
You did good grade?
Yeah.
All right, then we lit.
All right, hurry.
So this is a middle school in Palm Beach, Florida.
Drop me up, bro.
That's love right there. Yeah, if I'm an advertiser, I'm loving this. What advertisers want to see. Advertisers want people that can engage the next generation of shoppers, because that's what they are. When they get to 18 to 25, or encourage their parents, to go ahead and spend that cash. Let me get that, the new Nike shoes. Let me get that Gatorade. Remember, he had like a midnight Gatorade. So it's Gatorade, Nike, and I think he still has Delta Airlines. So while this is heartwarming, I see the business side of this. Shout out to Shedeur, KFC. He just dropped his KFC ad today. Advertisers love this, and the kids love Shedeur. Shout out to Shedeur. All right, so let's get on into the breaking news. Let's get into the breaking news. All right, so if you saw, I changed the thumbnail because, like I said, Tony was live, and I didn't want to interrupt that. I was over in her chat, so I just waited and saved this for later. The breaking news was the report cards for all 32 teams came in. And out of 32 teams, the Browns ranked. Can you guess what number the Browns ranked before I tell you? Put it in the chat. Out of 32 teams, pick a number that you think reflects the Browns ranking. It's kind of a hint already out there. I just want to see what y'all saying. Yep, I'm going to give it a chance so I can see. I'm going to the end of the comments so I can see what y'all put in there. I want to see what y'all saying. All right, somebody got something in there. Let's see what they got. Is that Diva said, y'all coming in hot. 32 for Shy, 30 for Tamika, 32 for Jam, 31 for Miss Pamela, 32 for Bridget, 31 for Destiny, 32 for Cynthia, last probably from Faith, 32 for Vermont, and 31 for Daniel. Shout out to Daniel. 32, 32, 32, 30. Stacy, what's up, Stacy? And F minus is a 32. All right, so let's talk about it. Kevin Stefanski got the lowest grade of all 32 coaches. That's why I put the F minus up there. The F minus was for him. Now, the Browns were 30 of 32, so near bottom. But Stefanski got slammed. So, okay, if you can see the screen, I'm going to share the ranking, the reporting, so you can see it. Shout out to y'all for sharing that. Stefanski, out of 32 coaches, had the lowest score, the lowest grade. There's some implications there. Before I get into this, how is it that he failed in Cleveland and they knew he failed? Because I posted right here on your screen, it say failed. It say failed. And I listed in the ways he failed. Remember when it kicked on the 29, would rotate players and sabotaging his own damn quarterback? How is it that the players, this is their only recourse to speak out because NFL Players Association is who this comes from. Outside of this, we don't know what they think. This is the only shot to find out what it is that they think. And this man had the lowest grade of all coaches. The lowest grade of all 32 coaches. And not only does he get a promotion, but the coach that they fired had a B+. Raheem Morris was liked by the Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to look at side by side. First, we're going to go over Cleveland. And then we're going to go over Atlanta. And we're going to do a side by side. Why? Because Stefanski was the lowest rated coach over here in the NFL, period, and in Cleveland. And he got a job replacing a coach that was better performing than him on the field, well liked by the team. And Raheem Morris only made $3.5 million. Stefanski got a raise from $3.5 million to $15 million a year. The worst graded coach. You know what? I need somebody to explain that. And it happened fast. He was supposedly the second most desirable coach. Now, that's something that needs to be looked into because there's not another corporation out here that is held accountable that when they do performance reviews and employee is the worst rated in the corporation for their position, that they can within 2 weeks turn around and not only beat out somebody that they were better than, worse than, get a raise, a massive raise, 3 times 5. 5 times his salary. About 4.5 times, if you want to be accurate. About 4.5 times his salary raise for the worst rated coach in the league. I believe that is more of an indictment of the status of the NFL and their poor hiring practices and how it's not about talent. It's not about winning. Stefanski getting this job and being the worst rated coach, leaving a horrible team and going to a better team, replacing the coach who was better than him on and off the field and getting a raise 4 times his salary. It better involve blackmail. That blackmail and extortion could be the only reason why you would give somebody a job like that. Why you would reward somebody like that. So stay tuned for that conversation because we have Atlanta's grades too. All right. So I'm going to make myself smaller so y'all can see. The fallout in Atlanta has already begun, but now the unexpected, because who knew the grades were coming out? And they conveniently came out during the combine. I don't think that's a coincidence. It was said that the Jets owner, who has a horrible organization, didn't even want report cards to continue, but that would be silencing the players because they don't have another way to voice themselves, right? To express themselves. So as you can see right here, Atlanta is to the right and Cleveland is to the left. On my screen is my assessment. I'm down here at the bottom. My assessment is the Falcons were a better team than the Browns, right? And that the Browns, based on their report card, need new ownership ASAP. Have I not been putting out videos before this came out saying that exact thing, that there needs to be transparency and new ownership? And here comes the report card to validate what I have been saying. So let's get into it. All right. So starting with the Browns, the treatment of families. So the Cleveland Browns get a D+. Oh my, a D-. So the way that the Browns treat family members is a D-. I'm down here at the bottom if you're just not joining us. Home game field. So the field for the home games, that's the stadium, a B-. So if you got a B- for your stadium, you didn't need a new one. You could keep the one you have. And it says food and dining area. Remember the area we saw when they hung up Shedeur's photo before he got his first start when Coach Prime came up there, or his second start? that got a D plus. Wow. Okay. It said nutritionist and dietitian, a C plus. That's not really good, but a locker room, straight F. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers had an F in their locker rooms because they only have 5 bathrooms for all of the 300 players on the team to use. So I'd have to go do a deeper dive to find out why the locker room got an F. Training room, a C. Training staff, a C plus. Now, when they say training, are they talking about the people that's responsible for keeping the players in condition so they don't have so many injuries? Think about all of the injuries that the Browns have. And it says to me that they deserve a C minus. Look at all of the injuries just from training camp last year. Shedeur, Dillon, and Pickett. I don't even know if Flacco was out. Was he out with a hamstring at one point? If so, it's 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. Huntley came and went. I don't even think he was long enough there to be injured. Then there's Deshaun. Then there's supposedly Wyatt Teller. And then all of the other players that got pulled from games because supposedly they were injured. We saw Carson Schlesinger playing with blood, and we saw Harold Fanning Jr. Then there was Quishon Junkins. So I personally, if these are the people that are designed to do the conditioning and the strength, they're not good at their job because it's too many injuries. Too many injuries. All right, let me keep going. My nose always itch when I come on here. Said next. And y'all let me know if there's a particular area, if there's one area that you want to say something about. Like if you're like, I think home field should have an A or the weight room should have a B. Let me know what's the area and what grade do you give it, and we'll head over to the comments. All right. So keeping on the weight room, that's a B plus. Well, that's nice. The strength coaches, a B plus. Okay, so training and strength is different. So the strength coaches get a B plus. I don't know what training does. If anybody was in the NFL or have any knowledge because you know somebody or you're closer to the team, what does training mean in particular? If strength is individualized. Okay. Position coaches, a B minus. I'm not sure that's good. Offensive coordinator, a D plus. That will be Tommy Rees, who just got hired in Atlanta with Stefanski. So he trash. Okay, because the D plus is not acceptable by any measure. I don't even know if was F on here. F was an option. I don't know why they didn't give him F. Personally, I wondered if the grades would be lower in certain areas if they didn't fear some type of retaliation. Because if this was done digitally, then they probably think like a lot of people when they're filling this out at work, they can look this up and see who it is that filled it out. Let me know your thoughts about the grading, how you feel if there should have been more Fs. So Tommy Rees should have had an F. I'll tell you that right now. Offensive coordinator, flat F. Defensive coordinator, A minus. Well, hell, he was actually the one that they should have kept in, right? That's the Schwartz guy. So they should have kept him. You see how the good people gone? You see? Njoku, gone. Wyatt Teller, gone. Schwartz, gone. You see? And then I don't think Schwartz has another job yet, right? But how it is that Tommy Rees and Stefanski, with their failures, epic failures for offensive coordinator, obvious, how they get another job? That needs to be looked into. And maybe one day it will be. But it's going to be an interesting season, considering everybody now knows that they failed. And understand, these grades could have came out after the combine. This is intentional, so you are distracted, and everybody's not widely talking about this. So we have the special teams coordinator, a D. Well, it's a good thing he's gone. Team travel. Oh my God, a D minus. Are they driving in separate cars? I wonder why team travel got a D minus. I'm gonna have to do some deep diving and see what I can find out. Head coach, a C minus. That was generous. That was generous. That the C part must have came from the defense. General manager, a C. Team ownership, a C. That's also generous. That's also generous. Now, if y'all had taken this, would you have had the courage, knowing technology, can find things out, to put an F or a D for team ownership, for the general manager, and for the head coach? How does Tommy Rees get a worse grade than Kevin Stefanski? that goes back to, I don't think they were being 100% honest for fear of retaliation, because all of them, head coach, general manager, and team ownership, should have had a D or F. All right, so that is the Browns. Y'all still with me? That's the Browns. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right, I'll make myself smaller so y'all can see the side by side. And I'm headed over to Atlanta. All right, Atlanta's a better organization. This much is obvious. The treatment of families, a B plus. They got a B plus for treatment of families. The Browns got a D. A D plus? Is that what I said? Yes. So the Browns got a D plus. The Falcons got a B plus. So the Falcons are a better organization. Home field grade. Apparently they don't like Mercedes-Benz. C minus. I find that very interesting. Let's see where that goes, because I am of the opinion, IMO, that the Falcons are doing all of this to create havoc so they can move somewhere where their field house area is, or whatever they call that, up north, out of the city, like the Braves did, because the Braves have retail shopping around their games. So if the games are empty, people come and go shopping and go to Fat Tuesdays or sports bars. See, they want that. They don't have that because they don't own the land around the city. And the land around the city of Atlanta is rapidly being developed, but they don't own Mercedes-Benz either. Every team wants the star. So that's what Haslam is doing. And as trash as that team is, he shouldn't even be allowed a new stadium. But it appears that the commissioner is nothing more than a layer to shield the owners from liability. He has no power in terms of reprimanding the team, holding the teams accountable, or putting together a commission to force the sale of ownership. And how do I know this? Because other teams who were being reported as being implicated in workplace misconduct by the state attorney general in different states, by the fans, by employees of these teams, misconduct in the workplace. The NFL said that they investigated, just like the John Gruden situation, and they ain't find nothing. It took Congress to find it. Now, Congress is a little busy right now. So I think that's why certain teams who need new ownership in Cleveland, namely the Browns, feel like they can do what the hell they want to do, because Congress is backed up right now and they fear no consequence. But I do believe some of the players fear consequence when they answer these questions. All right, so let's get back to the Falcons. So Stefanski got to go to a better team because the food and dining area gets an A minus, whereas the team that he left gets a D plus, and that's where he belongs. Nutritionist and dietitian, A. C plus, where he left with the Browns. Locker room, a B. Browns locker room, an F. So what did he do to deserve an upgrade? There must have been some type of extortion happening here. It must be, if you don't find me another job, I'm going to tell X, Y, Z. I'm going to drop these files on you. Something like that. Let me know your thoughts. Okay. Training staff, A minus in Atlanta. Training staff is a C plus. The training room in Cleveland is a C, whereas the training room in Atlanta is an A minus. Then you have the weight room, which is an A in Atlanta. Strength coach is an A. So let's see. The weight room was a B minus in Cleveland. No, the weight room is a B plus in Cleveland. And the strength coaches also get a B plus. So they like the strength and weight room area. Okay. Okay. That's good. They got something. Yeah, they got something. The highest grade they got was for the defensive coordinator. He's gone. That's interesting. I want to see Baltimore's grades. I need to find the Baltimore Ravens grades. Yes. Put a pin in that. Okay. Defensive coordinator got an A in Atlanta. Special teams coordinator got a B plus in Atlanta. They like their people. The only one they don't like is the offensive coordinator, who I didn't like. See, I haven't been wrong yet. He got a C minus. The position coaches a B plus. Offensive coordinator, C minus. Defensive coordinator, A. Why did I not like the offensive coordinator? And I'm not the only one. Clearly, the Falcons didn't like him either. You know why? because he blatantly set up Michael Penix Jr. And they fired a black wide receiver coach. See, they had the same chaos running through the locker room, trying to intimidate the players, but they weren't successful with it. In fact, they kicked one of the players off the team like they did Tony Brown. So they wanted Stefanski to come over and gave him a raise seemingly from the outside. Because remember all that intimidation and retaliation and coercion and getting players to stop running on their routes and dirt diving? That's why he likely got a raise. If there was no extortion, he was able to mafia the locker room. That's the only thing he succeeded at. He succeeded at Jerry Jeudy, who people are now talking about he needs to be replaced because he trashed. He succeeded at Joel Bitonio, who the team refuses to part ways with, but is trying to accommodate to dirt dive, and he was the leader of the team. He also found a way somehow, him or Tommy Reese, to convince Cam Robinson and KT Leviston, two black players, to sell out their black quarterback. That's why he's in Atlanta, because the city and the team is what? Black. Yeah. So if there's no extortion, he was sent to handle Atlanta. Yeah. All right. So shout out to Baker Mayfield, because the offensive coordinator from Atlanta who got a C-, he wasn't fired, but he somehow got promoted, probably got a bigger salary for the same position because he handled Michael Penix Jr. So he has been hired by Tampa Bay to handle Baker Mayfield. Why? Because Baker Mayfield is outspoken. Now, just in case you don't know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were actually trying to fire their head coach who's black, but they'd already fired so many, just like Andrew Berry, they'd already fired only black GMs, so it wouldn't look good to fire another one. Those two will be holdovers to next year. And how do you know this? Because Zach Robinson was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta and was just hired to be the offensive coordinator in Tampa, who already wanted to fire their coach, and whose coach just got fired in Atlanta. The offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. So his job was to muck it up so Raheem and them could look bad. Stefanski's job is to come in and get the locker room under control. Unless there was some type of extortion or intimidation, but I'm probably right about that. And ultimately, they might want to move up north so they can have their version of the star and exit the city of Atlanta, which is mostly predominantly black. Yeah. But I need a reason to do it because I don't want to look like I want to lead the black people. So while I'm happy that Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator who had a C- in Atlanta, is gone, Atlanta now has an offensive coordinator that has a D+. It is going to be an interesting season in Atlanta because the fans, who I was already telling on X early on, your head coach is not the problem. Your offensive coordinator is setting up your quarterback. And what happened? The head coach got fired because the fans thought that that's what it was. But the Falcons knew that that's not what it was. They did exactly what they wanted to do. Push all the black people out, the leadership positions, and they coming for Michael Penix Jr. in the same way they came for Shedeur. Stefanski has already said, when asked about Michael Penix Jr. being the starter, yeah, we don't want to be handing out positions in February. Handing out. He was already the starter. There is no justification for Michael Penix Jr. to compete again, just like there's no justification for Shedeur Sanders to compete. And notice you don't hear anybody else being forced to compete. That's not black. But Anthony Richardson is being trashed. Tyrod Taylor and Malik Willis, he can go to another team, but the only teams he's been suggested to go to currently have black QB1s. Yeah. And Deshaun Watson is being trashed. Yep. All right. So the defensive coordinator got an A. I think that person still has their job. That's the guy that Son supposedly called up Shedeur, but I think that was a lie. And then the special teams coordinator, B+. So the special teams coordinator got a D. The defensive coordinator is gone, got an A-. So as you can see, Atlanta downgraded. They downshifted. They got worse coaches and a worse coordinator. Yep. For all that money. For all that money. And then team travel. Let's see. The Falcons gave team travel a B plus. Makes sense. Head coach a B plus. Head coach was a C minus. So again, a downgrade. A downgrade. Team ownership. They gave the team ownership an A in Atlanta, whereas in Cleveland, the team ownership gets a C. GM got a B plus and he got fired. The GM in Cleveland got a C and he still has a job. So what do y'all think about those apples? I put the comparison on the screen. It's out there for you. Check it out. What do y'all think? Stefanski, the lowest graded coach in the NFL, and his D plus coordinator got elevated to Atlanta, who was a better organization. So they did a horrible job, but got elevated to a better organization. So now are they going to tear down that organization? Seemingly the answer to the question is already yes. You see? And the reason this can happen, there's no accountability. There's zero accountability. And this is the most transparency you will get. Yep. So the Browns are a terrible team in terms of ownership, the GM, the outgoing coach, the outgoing offensive coordinator. The best coach they had that was graded was Schwartz, and he's gone. So I guess I'm going to have to see what Baltimore Ravens grades look like to determine if the Browns will be much improved, because nobody can tell me why this Stefanski got a job making all the money he's making. But see, nothing's going to change though until somebody pushed the conversation. But I'm pretty sure that it came out today because of the combine to get smothered. Let's see, report card. Let's see, Baltimore Ravens. I didn't even think to look them up. Let me see if I can find it really fast. Oh, it said the Ravens make the honor roll in 2026. No, so they made the honor roll. So we might have to, I'm gonna have to go hunt down their report card. So it looks like the Ravens were given some good grades. Here we go. I have some of it now. Let's see. All right. I'm going to share this with y'all. Interesting. How is the entirety of the Ravens grades? Okay, so let me just share this with y'all. It's unexpected, but let me share it, and then I'm going to head over to the comments. Here we go. So let's see. Treatment of families, B plus, kind of like Atlanta. Home field, game home field is A. That's better than the Falcons. It said food dining area B. Nutritionist, dietitian A minus. Locker room a B minus. That's better than F. Training room A. Training staff B. Weight room A. Coaches A. Position coaches B. Offensive coordinator a B minus. I'm assuming that's the one that just left. So Monkey got a B minus, and the guy that just got hired in Atlanta had a D plus. Interesting. So maybe we're getting a better offensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator was a B plus. Special teams coordinator was a B plus. Team travel was a B minus. Head coach a B. General manager A minus. Team ownership A plus. So let me get this straight. Just a quick summation here, or a quick analysis. The Baltimore Ravens like where they work. They like team ownership. They don't care for the general manager, and they didn't care too much for the head coach. Special teams coordinator wasn't bad. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator had lesser grades than the coach. So it was kind of all like that together. The A plus for them and the A for the general manager. I take the A minus for the general manager and I put it with the B from the head coach, the B with the offensive coordinator, the B with the defensive coordinator, and B plus. And that's where, because who hired them? The general manager. I mean, honestly, people think that, but 9 times out of 10, it was this A plus person who was the owner. Who gave Mark Andrews all that money? Up front, you're going to say it's the general manager. But if you know how the NFL works, the owner approved that. And the 32 owners got together and talked about it first. And they talked about the implications that there will be no money left for Isaiah Likely, and they know that. So people can't really see that there is no really division between the GM and the team ownership. All of these owners are behind the scenes making sure they know how their money is spent on the positions that they care about. And which one is the most important? The quarterback. That's why all 32 team owners allegedly took Shedeur off the board. Now, one day we might find out it was only 3. But there were teams that came out and said, no, we had a grade on him. So that meant everybody wasn't in on the plot from general manager down. But from ownership, they were all in on it. I'm sure somebody got a phone call. Hey, should we get Shedeur? Because we didn't expect this. Remember, everybody got the email with Shedeur Sanders' phone number on it. At some point, they had an aha moment. So it looks like the Ravens have a better organization overall than the Browns. The Browns are not surprisingly number 30 of 32. With this being the only way the players can express themselves, they already hired Monken. They can hope and pray Monken does run a better organization. But here's what we're going to find out this year. We're going to find out who really making the decisions. See, last year, when we would have these conversations about Stefanski sabotaging Shedeur, there would be people saying, well, that was the owner. Okay. So if you knew then that it was the owner and Stefanski's gone, then it should tell you that Monken was hired to do exactly what Stefanski did, just not as public with the sabotage. This entire narrative about Shedeur Sanders having to compete again, it is ridiculous. Because Bo Nix never had to compete, and he was allowed to start in year 1, and Shedeur was number 2 overall. Bo Nix was number 12 overall graded. Just because the owners took Shedeur off the board does not mean Shedeur's skill set diminished from the number 2 pick overall. There is no justification for having a player who competed in a sham competition that he won to have to compete again. There was no justification that he won the competition. And the Browns chose not to honor him as the winner and the best quarterback on the team. And they want people to sit back and rinse and repeat and be excited about another competition that was fraudulent from the last year. And Monken seems to think that because I'm new, I get to decide. Okay. And that's going to eventually work against you at some point, because the owner is the one deciding. I said at the end of the season, you could tell Stefanski was frustrated because he clearly was told Shedeur wasn't going to be playing for us. And somewhere along the line, there was a switcheroo with ownership. So they could get their likes and clicks in for 7 games while Stefanski's over here coddling Dylan. This is why Stefanski was seen having dinner with Dylan and Dylan's fiance, and then Dylan and Dylan's father right before the end of the season, because he had to go explain to them things change. Now people are saying Dylan is going to be cut. Dylan could end up in Atlanta. I want to see if Dylan fails up, just like Stefanski fails up, just like Tommy Reese failed up and Zach Robinson failed up to Tampa to go set up who? The head coach first, because he's black, and then Baker Mayfield, because it's time for him to renew his contract. Shedeur does not need to compete because he just competed and won. Then he performed well, played the most games, and went toe-to-toe with the MVP from last year. Was in the same category conversation with records as Aaron Rodgers, and has done what no quarterback in Cleveland has done in decades, regardless of who the owner was. So why would the best quarterback on the team that can get you to the playoff hunt and to the playoffs, something you haven't had since 89, a viable, active playoff scenario? When we watch Stefanski make sure the Browns lost to the Titans, but there's no accountability. So all fans can do is hope and wish and pray and feel let down again because the Browns are unserious. Their grade shows you that they're unserious. What the players think about them tells you that they are unserious. What you have seen with your own eyes tells you they are unserious. And with Monkey coming in and they're sticking to the script to devalue Shedeur and pair 3 black quarterbacks on the same roster when each of these 3 quarterbacks can be playing and leading 3 NFL teams, tells you that they're unserious. I even saw somebody say today, yeah, it looks like, the Browns gearing up for 2027 because that's what Ty Sampson would be if they drafted him. They don't even have enough money to draft Malik Willis. And last year, they didn't have enough money to draft Shedeur. But they said they did. Andrew Berry went on the record and said, no, we have enough money. When people wonder, why are you even entertaining pre-drafted Shedeur? You don't have enough money because you have Deshaun. They still have Deshaun, don't they? So why is Malik Willis' name being thrown into the mix? Well, seemingly his agent didn't like it because now it's being reported that it will likely not be possible for Malik Willis to join the Browns because Malik Willis and Deshaun Watson have the same agent and they both are expected to compete for the starting job, and that's a no-go. So there's a glitch, which is keeping the trio of 3 elite quarterbacks from being on the same roster. So guess whose name has come up? Tyrod Taylor. And I can see it. Tyrod Taylor, Shedeur Sanders, and Deshaun Watson, in the eyes of the NFL, are in the same situation. We don't want either the 3 of you to succeed. Tyrod Taylor ended up suing the NFL. Deshaun Watson somehow got $230 million after he was clearly retaliated against for asking for a trade. And then there's Shedeur. Who they bring, the Browns, in as a quarterback is a message for Shedeur. Tyrod Taylor's been in the league for 15 years. I happen to think he's the message. Because Shedeur is listed as being in tier 6 with Justin Fields, who wants to switch off to a running back and go back to Chicago rather than just hang up his cleats and go somewhere and start his own league. The message is, just like he's been here 15 years as a backup, and it's reported that it says in Shedeur's profile, ranked tier 6, which is dead last for quarterbacks, that he should be happy with the security of a backup. So bringing in Tyrod Taylor is that message for Shedeur. When we get to that point, based on who the quarterback is, let's come back to this conversation. Because there are people who want to believe that Monken is just filibustering and doesn't mean anything he says when he says Shedeur has to compete. I can't tell people what to think, but I can suggest that you look at the evidence right before your eyes. Yes, Monken got a B- overall from the Ravens, but he damn sure failed Lamar Jackson. And that's his job in Cleveland with Shedeur until the Manning kid comes. All right, so headed over to the comments to see what y'all are thinking. No, should be no surprise to anybody that the Browns are a horrible organization and nobody wants to be drafted there. Nobody wants to be drafted there, but because they want to be in the league, they just gonna have to suck it up and bear it. And that will play into who it is that they draft. And I heard today they might be using those first round on 2 O-linemen. Can you guess who it could be? Or shall I say what they look like? That gets the Browns closer to what was speculated last year, that they want the majority of their skilled positions to be white. and you think that they would treat Shedeur fairly or Deshaun or Malik Willis or Tyrod Taylor. Absolutely not. All right, so headed over to the comments. Hey, Ramon, thank you for holding it down. Thank you so much. Please like, hype, and subscribe. Yes, thank you so much. Get your popcorn ready. Opportunities to always defeat your setbacks. Seek and you shall find. Facts. Hey, Tamika, how you doing? How you doing? It said Cleveland organization and media is full of it with this QB. Yep. It said 12 should already be named franchise quarterback. Right. And the more the media pushes out the competition, what is that supposed to do? It's supposed to rally the fans' mindset and let their collective voices force you to believe that that is what is best, that that is the way it should be, and that there's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly why they're all echoing the same competition thing. It's shameful. It is absolutely shameful. They're railroading Shedeur using the media just like they did when? Before the draft. They are railroading Shedeur Sanders a second year in a row with the media telling the fans, no. Sure, he can compete again. But who else has to compete? Did Dylan have to compete? Did Bo Nix have to compete? Did Brock Purdy have to compete? Who had to compete? Why don't we hear anybody else? There's nobody else in the news talking about having to compete. That's how you know Shedeur is elite and he can win, and they don't want him to. But the NFL should be forced to say why you drafted somebody that you didn't want, because you said you didn't want him before. When? Before the combine. So why did you draft it? Because you're guilty of exploitation. You're guilty of collusion. And you want to make his life hell because you're guilty and you think this is a time awaited out situation. You think you just going to wait out his rookie contract. And when that goes away, you'll have nothing. Nobody will pick him up again, just like 32 teams passed on Lamar Jackson, who was an MVP in free agency. Same thing. And where is Lamar Jackson? With the same team that drafted him. What's the message? So you can look at Deshaun and be over there and just be over there without the money. Or you can look at Lamar or Tyrod. But Lamar got the money. Tyrod Taylor has been shipped around. It looks bleak. But we're going to see what God does. But I just told you what their plan was. Because it's not new. It's not specific to Shedeur. They're using the dusty playbook to railroad Shedeur. Hey, Lady T, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said we are a shot away from 7,000. Facts. That is big facts. Thank y'all so much. Nice to see y'all showing love to each other. It said, well, I didn't see that coming. Best wishes for Warren Sapp. Facts. No, he resigned. He wasn't fired. It said it was reported that he resigned. It didn't say he got fired. It was reported that he did resign, Ms. Pamela. He may be returning to the Hurricanes. Could be, because we already had a coach go to Miami. That was Coach D-Lou. Is that what Peter is saying? Yeah, so they both could be going back to Miami. It says Sapp brought a lot of energy and experience. I hate to see him go. I agree. It said, I believe he resigned because he didn't get a promotion. I love Warren Sapp, but he's been missing in action a lot lately. So you don't think he was around? What you mean in the off season or in the regular season last season? Let me know. Faith said, yes, I love Coach Sapp energy too. Right. I hope we can replace that because we did not have that energy last year. We didn't have a lot of things last year. We didn't have a lot of things. So look like Coach Prime is putting together a good squad. Is giving Jackson State year one in terms of starting from scratch. See, I always go back to Coach Prime's year one at Jackson State because, you know, he was new to all of it, new to the environment, new to the state of Mississippi, as far as I know, new to Jackson, new to the way, you know, the culture of HBCU culture in terms of not necessarily going to school there, but working there. The football program and all of that, and he made some happen. I mean, you can't overlook that, right? Coming in and shaking things up, and it works. Now, bad news for Jackson State today. horrible news. They were still trying to get a new stadium, and apparently the people in the state of Mississippi turned down their bid for a new stadium. So now they got to figure out what they're going to do. It's a shame. I'm not surprised. They should have had that stadium when Coach Prime was there. And I said that whatever it is that you needed to do to get this stadium, they should have got it done then. Because now it's going to be an uphill battle, because just in case you don't know, FAMU is being forced, to kind of push away from its historically black culture. Yeah. Now they leaning on Jackson State. Who next? So I sure hate that, because, that could hurt their recruiting. That could hurt their program. And look how long they've been looking for a stadium. Coach Prime been at Colorado for 4 seasons. Man, it's tough when you don't have your own. That's facts. It said Coach Prime is playing chess, not checkers. Facts. It said it's strictly business, not personal. It was said that Sapp just wanted to do part-time coaching duties, not his requirements of the coaching title. And that could be why Coach Prime elevated the grad assistant, because he maybe knew, right? Just like the guy he elevated to defensive coordinator. I think I recall when we were talking about coaches hired, somebody was a defensive coordinator previously before coming to Colorado, and it very well could be the person that Coach Prime hired. So shout out to Coach Prime for putting the program first. Hey Crowley, how you doing? It says Shedeur was in Florida visiting Studstill Middle School. So that's the school Shedeur was visiting, and he's in Florida. So maybe, because that's Palm Beach. I don't know how far Palm Beach is from Miami. If y'all know, if that's a hop, skip, and a jump, or maybe he was on his way to go visit. Maybe he's going. I'm sure he's gonna visit Shiloh. I'm pretty sure of it. And Studstill is his camera guy, right? What did Sapp really do though? I thought he worked with the edge rushers or the defensive line. He worked with Chidozie and those guys. So that's why I said the front seven, right? That's why I said, oh, he probably resigned because the grad assistant got the job. The one from Trench Performance. I mean, with all of the clients he has, I don't know, right? I just hope they bring that energy. That I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, but we need to, make sure it can happen. It said he was a part-time man. Yeah, and Coach Prime needed somebody full-time. It said LeJohntay is definitely one of my personal favorites. Great hands-on speed. Facts. And maybe it's just me, but LeJohntay looks like his route running has gotten crispier, and he's gotten a hair bit faster. He was already fast. But his routes look hella crispy. So I would imagine he will be maybe wide receiver 1. Do y'all think he will be wide receiver 1? Since it looks like the guy that played with Deshaun Watson in Houston, I don't think they re-signed him. And LeJohntay was wide receiver 2 behind him. I can't remember his name, but I don't think they re-signed him. If I think of his name, I'll let you know. And some of y'all might know his name. He played with Deshaun in Houston, and he was the guy that they traded to Arizona, and they blew it all up, and that's where all of the problems started. The retaliation is the problem. Okay. Remember, practice makes perfect. Facts. Is Sapp a casualty of that Livingston mess last year? I hate to see him go. I think so. I think that took a lot of life out of a lot of people, right? I mean, they're saying he was part-time. He did resign. I think for a lot of people, think about how many defensive players we lost last year that were a casualty to the Livingston mess. Absolutely. And Livingston should have been gone. Why did that wait? I don't know. I'm just glad it happened, because it takes a dark cloud off, the team. Now, with a black head coach in the Power 5 and 2 black coordinators, you best to know that they're going to be under the gun. And it's not fair, but it's reality. And y'all know the refs. Colorado know what they got to do. They got to go out there and run up the score. You cannot let the ref decide one game, because they are waiting. They looking for something. Understand that. Understand that. It's absolutely a confidence booster. Yeah, I think so too. It's that, as Bucky would say, it's the beautiful thing. I love to see when former players come back and share the journey with new players. Right. And I hope to see more of that. I hope to see more of that. Coach Prime is a businessman. Yeah, he is. He is. Some of the kids screaming. Yep. Kids love Shedeur. Whenever he show up, that's what I'm like. I know his sponsors are like KFC. Can you go up there with one of these t-shirts on? I mean, he had dropped the ad today. He's at the school today. And then, he got the Nike shoe. He had just dropped that. He just opened his gifts. So, they on the move. And he probably going to be, hell, he already could be in Miami because when they dropping these videos, I think they kind of maybe switching up the times a little bit, right? So, yeah, we might see Shedeur in Miami soon. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. It's that Shedeur is definitely a great role model. Absolutely. The Browns and NFL, they crazy. That means they don't have their motive is not to grow the league and to grow the community around the league. That's not their motive. They're not serious either, right? They're not serious either. It said he favors the same. It said Shedeur was dancing with, the little kid in camp. He does look like the little kid. Remember when Shedeur was dancing with that little kid by the goalpost? They was doing a little dance. He does kind of favor him a little bit. Shout out to Shedeur. Devastated said at 32. Oh, okay, so y'all were back to telling me y'all thought the score was 32. Close. It was 30. I think somebody guessed 30. Stacy did. Stacy guessed 30. Hey, Stacy, you did guess 30. That was facts. The fancy deserves an F, right? I think it's because they scared. I think they probably could look at this. So we gonna give. That's what people do. They just know that you can somehow trace this back to them. And although companies say you can't, as somebody that works in technology, 32 because of Stefanski. I agree. Stefanski was paid for failing. He might have been. And you know what? If he wasn't bribed, if he was bribed, he's getting his payment now in his job in Atlanta because there is absolutely no reason why he was paid 4 times his salary after failing. And the coach that was over there and the organization was better before he got there. Whew. It's that they're trying to ban the survey. I heard. Yeah, coach is sharing that. You know what Stefanski has? His last name. People overlook that. We talked about that. Stefanski father was a GM in the NBA for the 76ers, then went on to Toronto. I remember doing research on him, and it said he got his job, his father got his job because of who he knew in the media. And when we were talking about Stefanski and how he mistreated Shedeur and he needed to be fired, when we got to the regular season and Shedeur won the competition and they set Shedeur up after he balled out in the Panthers game, I said they're not going to fire him. Even midway through the season, I said they're not going to fire him. And if he still works there, it's because he has a purpose. So that speaks to Stefanski potentially being compensated, whether it was last year somehow or with this new contract. We're going to compensate you for everything in Cleveland, and we're going to move you to Atlanta because we want you to do it again. Why? Because the Atlanta fan base is opinionated because they push for Michael Penix Jr. Just like the Browns fan base booed the hell out of Dylan. And the GM, see, this is the problem Atlanta has. The GM parted ways with Kirk Cousins and said, out of respect to Michael Penix Jr., it only makes sense. Now that's that, right? That's the new GM, the new black guy. And why they hired a black guy? Because people were up in arms on why they fired the GM. As you can see, he had a B+. That's why. And they probably got some draft picks. So the next day, the media goes and asks Kevin Stefanski, because the media is messy, about Michael Penix Jr. starting the day after the GM said, out of respect for Michael Penix Jr., we're going to let Kirk Cousins go. What does Stefanski say? Yeah, I don't know about handing out positions in February. What was that? Stefanski was undermining the decision that the new GM, who's black, had just made. Stefanski just left a situation with a black GM that I don't really think he cared for, especially because Stefanski didn't get his way because Shedeur ended up playing. Stefanski thought when he took Dylan out, remember Dylan got on the phone and Dylan left the game? Stefanski thought Dylan was coming back the next game. Then he thought he was coming back the game after that. So then he conspired to start with the wristband gate, sabotaging Shedeur in plain sight. Then he conspired for Shedeur's finger to be stepped on, allegedly. Because how did that happen? And nobody ever talked about it. And what happened when Shedeur's finger got smashed and the nail was ripped off? He was expected to be in so much pain that Dylan would have finished that game. What game was that, by the way? Put in the comments what team were they playing. Let me know. Now, the one we don't hear about is Cam Ward. And that's one I got to watch. Because Cam Ward is who they thought Shedeur was. And Shedeur is who they thought Cam was. They move differently. Right? And who's over there with Cam Ward? The one that trashed Shedeur from New York. Remember? Brian Daboll. Exactly. Then sent him off to Atlanta like he was a hero. Right. And what is he being faced with over there in Atlanta? Strong opposition. And if you don't think, and you know what else he did? And I know it was him. The running back, Algiers, that was the second best running back on the Atlanta Falcons team. When I tell you that dude is good, they letting him go. I was like, what? Yep. So let's see if Stefanski was brought in to make the skilled players mostly white and get the locker room under control. Let's see who he bring in as a quarterback. Anytime you don't commit to the current quarterback, you're getting another quarterback from somewhere. You're going to do something and make something. You're going to try to make some type of change. So why is it that Stefanski thinks he can move Michael Penix Jr. out the way when the owner said Michael Penix Jr. was a starter? So what does it go to show you? That even if the Browns owner, who could have went on the record and lied and said Shedeur was a starter and put it on Monken to push him out, but they let who say it? Andrew Berry. Monken has to defend the competition. But Andrew Berry kept saying that first on day one. So Andrew Berry's the bad guy. He gets to talk about we didn't find our quarterback in January. He gets to talk about we pivoted. That's why we didn't get an O-line. He gets to clean up the owner's mess and pave the way and make it smooth for Monken so Monken doesn't take the heat like Stefanski did about Shedeur. Now, why would Andrew Berry want to do that? I would think you were crazy to want to do that. So either he got one hell of a raise or he wants to be solely the senior vice president to run the entire show. And when the Mannings come in, that's exactly what might happen. When the Manning kid come, personally, I think they're going to fire him, and Tom Telesco going to be the GM, and Peyton Manning or somebody like that is going to be the senior vice president. That's what I think going to happen. Unless they feel somehow beholden to Andrew Berry, which if you fire Sashi Brown because he was going to get Lamar, you don't care about black people. If you using Andrew Berry and his melanin to shield you from being racist by him doing your bidding, your racist bidding, you don't care about black people. So we already got Tom Telesco over here who was on the ground, who came to make sure Monken was hired. Monken's hired. Where's Tom Telesco? Let's see if we hear his name anymore. Andrew Berry going to get played just like Jerry Jeudy. But see, Jerry Jeudy has a guaranteed contract. Let's see what happens with that. Nola girl, the fans are going crazy in Atlanta. Thank you, Elijah. I can't wait to get out and start asking. I was talking about this yesterday. I was like, okay, I found a new sports bar and a very nice new hotel. I'm going up there. I already got mapping out where I'm going to ask questions. I would put on a Falcons jacket, but I'm not interested. Matter of fact, I have sworn off. I'm not wearing that Falcons jacket that I have, but prepare to see me walk down the street in Atlanta asking, hello, I see you're a Falcons fan. What do you think about the recent hire of Kevin Stefanski? Did you know he is the lowest graded coach in out of all 32 teams in NFL? What? I can't wait for it to warm up a little bit more. Today was better. Today it wasn't 27. I think it was more like 55. So soon enough, and it rained today too. So soon enough, I will be back. I will be back out there. It said it's getting way too obvious. That's it. Amber's talking about how the racism is getting obvious. He ain't making it obvious. And these grades aren't helping. What these grades should make people do, which is why they came out during the combine, it should make people ask, why did you send Tommy Rees and Kevin Stefanski to Atlanta where there was a better graded coach and GM and defensive offense coordinator had the worst grade. But why would you bring Tommy Rees here? Of all of the people you could have brought to Atlanta, you brought the lowest graded coach and a D+ offensive coordinator after you moved out a C or a C- offensive coordinator. You brought in worse people. Why? Let's be honest. And the city's black, and you brought in somebody who either doesn't like black people or thought it was cool to try to destroy a young black quarterback who's the son of Deion Sanders, who damn near put the Falcons on the map. Who did put the Falcons on the map. And it's been since the 90s, and this town loves Shedeur. So either you playing Kevin Stefanski, and you must have a buyout number that you comfortable with him playing with, because I don't know how he gonna make it. He gonna have to come in and win with Michael Penix Jr., and I know that is not the plan. I believe the plan is to push Michael Penix Jr. out the way. And I'm going to slowly do it because it's going to be too obvious, which means I'm not trying to win because I'm going to part the Red Sea for Tyler Shaw. Not Bryce Young. Not Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield. Not Michael Penix Jr. Ain't but one quarterback left. The Saints. This is a PR move. This is some kind of marketing move. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. Let's see. I already watched them cheat Bryce Young 3 times, twice with the Saints and once in the playoffs. They don't want him to win. See, when Bryce Young came out of school, the narrative was, even though he was a Heisman winner just like Lamar, that they can't start. That's the same narrative that Monken was pushing on the podium, whether you know it or not. Well, I mean, Shedeur's elite. You can see it. It's in him. I mean, but does he have a long way to go? Yeah. No, the hell he don't. Bo Nix didn't have a long way to go, and he a starter. Lamar Jackson was unanimous MVP after he started in year 1. See, they don't want. I don't think they probably want. I don't know if they want any white rookie quarterbacks to start. We're going to see what happens with Mendoza. They not white, but kind of, because I think in Florida they classify Cuba as white. I do believe that might be. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is. And what does that do? Help to the numbers. So, I think if J.J. McCarthy could have started year 1, he would have started year 1. Brock Purdy started year 1. C.J. Stroud started and was good, but what happened his sophomore year? The same thing that happened to Jaden Daniels after he did well in his rookie season. See, I've noticed that when they're black and they're rookies and they're phenomenal quarterbacks, Heisman candidates, hell, Johnny Unitas arm winners, they get done dirty. They get done dirty because they don't want them to come out here on a rookie contract and win. I really don't think it has anything to do with the contract, but I just don't believe that they want there to be vast, large, growing numbers of black quarterbacks excelling in year 1 or year 2 for that matter. Right now, they don't even want 17 to 32. But before we got to 17 to 32, when Bryce Young came out, 2020, They didn't want him to succeed in year one, and they weren't close to 17-32. They weren't far from it, but they weren't nearly as close as they were with Shedeur being 17. So now we have a compounded issue. I don't want black rookie quarterbacks coming in here and being successful like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels. So that's why their sophomore seasons were trash, because they got trashed. That was intentional. That's why Jaden Daniels, offensive coordinator, got stripped away from the team. So they can't try to run it back with him healthy. That's why he was injured. What did the coach say? When people say, why would you have him out there? You know what his answer was? Well, I didn't know he was going to try to run for it. He's a dual threat quarterback. They get punished when they try to get out that pocket, especially the black ones. I don't think that happens to the white ones, because I watched Tyler Shaw play, and they set him up with teams whose defenses did not contest his catches. They're cheating. That's just all it is. And let's see if whatever this damn division is that the Falcons and the Saints are in, the AFC South, or is it the NFC South? The AFC South? Whatever the hell division it is, let's see if they part the Red Sea for Tyler Shaw. Because Stefanski already using his Cleveland notebook with that word salad. He already using that. And why does he think that that's okay after he got ran out of Cleveland? Maybe he didn't get run out of Cleveland for poor performance. Maybe he got run out of Cleveland for something else. Let's see what happens when Dylan leaves Cleveland. Let's see what happens. I'm looking for something. All right. It said Atlanta fired a higher ranking coach and gave the lowest ranking coach a massive pay raise. Right, Destiny? And tell me what sense that makes. Why you would think people will be eyebrows raised, but there's nobody to investigate. Congress is busy. The NFL cannot be trusted to self-investigate. The players have said the most that they can say. And let's see if it mattered. It didn't matter when Shedeur won a competition, so I doubt that it matters now. But you would think at some point there will be some either karma got to do it, and God invented karma. If the fans can't do it, because that's who need to do it. When I tell you the Falcons fans, upon hearing this information, that they got a worse coach and booted out a better coach and got a worse offensive coordinator when the last one was a problem last year, they ought to cancel any kind of tickets that they already have invested in and let that stadium sit empty. If the fans can't do it, it's going to have to be done another way. And I want you to know, this is what it will look like for team after team for the foreseeable future. Because everybody that was hired this year was hired to replace or work with a black quarterback. The only one was Harbaugh going to New York. And even he got the shaft. He thought Monken was coming with him. And you know what he said, Harbaugh? Well, the Browns were there all along. So you see how they still play? They'll use you and then they'll play you. So they use Stefanski against Shedeur, but they played Stefanski after letting him be the bad guy all through the summer, letting him trash his reputation because he thinking he gonna ride to the sunset with Dylan and he got to switch to Shedeur. Then for whatever reason, he dials up his sabotage and goes public with it. With the wristband gate and the stripping of the nail, and never got fired, but got rewarded and paid 4 times his salary and got to bring his failure of an offensive coordinator to Atlanta with him that they wanted to send over there with Bryce Young in Michigan. If I sabotage Shedeur, and clearly y'all thought I could come sabotage Bryce Underwood, then you already know what they're going to do to Michael Penix Jr. Them Falcons fans better let that stadium sit empty. I heard somebody said Arthur Blank is upset because Stefanski won't confirm Michael Penix Jr. as the starter. I said, no, the hell he ain't. Don't let these people play y'all. It's funny how people think that billionaire owners, and we've gotten a kind of a whiff of how these billionaires be arrogant and feeling like they run the world and working together to run the world. They really think these GMs can approve a $250 salary for Deshaun Watson, or that Stefanski could come in and push some kind of weight around and he decides who the owner is. I mean, who the quarterback is where Penix is concerned. That's bullshit. These owners are hiding behind the GM and the dude that just got hired in Atlanta. Let's see how long. Let's see who leave there first. Is it going to be Ian, who's never been a GM? And is the media going to start trashing his decisions? Or is it going to be Stefanski? And he'll never see $15 million a year for 5 years. Let's see what happens. Is Callahan still over there? Because I think they hired Callahan as the offensive line coach. He was just fired from the Titans. But then I thought I heard he moved to another team. Because that didn't make no sense. I said, well, they must think Stefanski ain't going to make it with Callahan over there. Because think about it. If Callahan would have got fired, if Stefanski would have got fired in Atlanta soon, Callahan could have just been elevated in his place. But I think they moved him on. All these people working together. Talking about nepotism. Oh, yep, that's what it is. His father. See, these people are tight with the media. That's why they never pressed Stefanski or anything. They were tight with the media. It wasn't until the end, and I believe some of it was scripted because they were pushing for Shedeur to play the media because they thought he was going to fail in the dead of winter against the tougher teams. Notice they didn't want Dylan playing against the Bills because then that would make Stefanski look bad. Well, now people know because Shedeur played and looked better than Dylan that Stefanski failed by bringing Dylan in as a draft pick in the 3rd round. That's why it will be interesting to see where Dylan ends up because the promises were made. They didn't keep their promises to Shedeur or their intent, not promises. They intended to draft Shedeur at number 2. They didn't keep their intentions. In fact, they devalued Shedeur. Let's see if they devalue Dylan. One false move and somebody going to talk about that robbery. I'm waiting. Instead, them folks are going to take care of each other. That's facts. They take care of each other. You see that with the E-Files. You see what's going on. Y'all see what's going on. And it is not till they start pointing fingers that it's all going to come tearing down. And we might be close. It says Stefanski threatened to go public with the collusion information. So he's paid to shut up. That you could be right. That's why I said it could be extortion because if you go back to Stefanski's last few interviews before he was done, maybe his last one, he kept talking about a script. And you know what else he kept talking about? When the guy was damn near about to cry that he was leaving it, people was like, you're supposed to be neutral as a reporter. You're supposed to be crying because a sorry head coach is leaving or fired. He said, it's never just one person. So between a script and it's never just one person, and Haslam, I'm optimistic that Stefanski will be a head coach in this league again soon. 2 weeks. That was fast. Did his father pick up the phone? Y'all better find my boy a job because I'm going to go public. He know the media people. They say that's how he got the job as the 76ers GM because of who he knew in the media, not his skills. So when you got the media on lock, extortion, let's see what happens. And if they are being extorted, then Callahan is still over there. Chances are they could be going along with this and knowing the fans going to revolt and the fans push him out. Well, you know, it wasn't us. It was the fans. Because I wonder what they told him when Shedeur played and stayed in and Dylan never could come back. I would love to know what they told him because he went running to the media. And I said it. Look at him running to the media. Talking about, the personnel decisions that are being made or blah, 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 blah. And something about when he worked for Cleveland, he didn't get to do the things he wanted to do. So basically, he was ragging on Andrew Berry and trying to say that either he was told to do what he did and he didn't want to do those things, or he would have never put Shedeur in. I don't know, but we're going to find out. And the path he's already on, you got ESPN talking about Michael Penix Jr. needs to retire. You got, I blocked First Take. I thought that already did, unless it's some auto unlock block feature. I swear I blocked them. because they were trashing Deshaun today. Last week, it was Michael Penix Jr. need to retire. They already try to retire Lamar Jackson at 28. Keep paying attention. All of the quarterbacks being trashed are black. All of the quarterbacks going to Cleveland are black. All of the coaches that were fired, exception of one, Daboll, had black quarterbacks. All the GMs that were fired were black. No black head coaches were hired. And the Falcons fired a better coach than they hired. It's given racism. It's given they want to tell you. They desperately want to tell you so they can cast the net on those racist fans to come to the league and be fans, because it's documented since 2023. White people watch NFL football less and less every year. So this could be before they go global, because they are already playing overseas. This could be an attempt to get as many white people on their side so they are not held accountable for what? What they did to Shedeur, what they did to Lamar, what they did to Michael Penix Jr., what they did to Deshaun. If white people watch less and less, who's going to hold them accountable? We will. Hispanic people and black people are the largest audiences that are new to the NFL every year, as white viewers are and fans are starting to decline. Starting to fall to the wayside. You think they want that? With black fans come accountability. And with brown fans, they might be like, well, hell, they're going to hold us accountable too. So what's happening is their white audience is starting to turn away. But what happened in Cleveland? Their white audience held them accountable and said, don't you put Dylan back out here. Let's see if their fan base in Cleveland, and I saw a lot of black people at the tailgates. Let's see if they pushing for Shedeur. I don't watch them. So I'm not running through their comments looking to see what the consensus is. But we'll see as we get closer on. It's a long off season. But this is about accountability. And I can't be racist against these black quarterbacks and these black players without accountability. So what do I need to do? I need to make it appear from the outside that I don't want no black quarterbacks, because I don't. And I need to show that we're still the same league that we always were, that only valued black players for their athleticism at the lesser paid positions. And we reserve the most important position on the team for the white players, which is why the Browns, it was said, they were making the majority of their skill positions white. So if most of the players are white and I'm shunning a black quarterback and I'm in Cleveland and I'm moving to Brook Park and I want it to be the Manning kid, what am I doing? Trying to whiten up the place. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, because I happen to think the owner's marketing strategy, his mindset is outdated. And that typically comes when you hit your late 70s or 80s. You're out of touch with what's really going on in the culture. You don't even know the culture, because they were shocked that their fan base held them accountable last year. They were shocked by that. That's why they responded to that petition. Oh, your petition is different. We want to recognize the long-term fans. Recognize, not be accountable to, but just recognize. Stay tuned. So yeah, you might be onto something by design. It said prime example. Yup. It said, did I not say over and over and over that Shedeur was a top 5 quarterback? I mean, he was the top 3. Let's be honest. He was the number 1 pick. See, people don't really realize Shedeur was the number 1 pick coming out in October. That's when all of that nastiness towards him from the media, the same media that trashed him before the draft. They started a character assassination on Shedeur so that by the time the season ended, he would not be sitting to come out number 1. If Shedeur was on that Heisman stage, it would have been very difficult for him not to be number one overall because Cam didn't have a Heisman. Well, he was a Heisman. He was on the stage. Why didn't Cam? So Cam went number one. Why didn't Dylan? Why didn't Dylan get up there in the top 3 if he was on the Heisman stage and block Shedeur? Because that was his job. Think about that. Ashton Jeanty, Cam, Travis, Shedeur, and then Shedeur was like 5. I think he had just missed the cutoff. They started a character assassination because if they had not, he would have made that Heisman stage, and it would have been hard as hell for him not to be number one. But he got pushed to number 2, conveniently to what team? The Browns, who were never serious. He can sue them. I'm not saying he will or he won't right now. I'm not even telling him what to do. I'm saying from an outsider looking at the obvious premeditated pre-draft experience, knowing you were always going to get Dylan, he could sue them. He could sue them for the collusion against them. He can sue them for the bait and switch, and he can sue them for corruption for when he got over there with the sabotage, the discrimination. Absolutely. That's why I said they lucky in Shedeur because somebody else probably would have sued. Think about Caleb Williams. His family hired lawyers to try to remedy that situation because he didn't want to come out of school. And at the time, they were retaliating against Caleb because of it. Look at how many players went back to school this year. So it wasn't really this class where somebody wanted to go back to school. Caleb wanted to go back to school, and they start trashing him and his dad. Yep. So it's like they were forcing him to come out. Thank you, Faith. It said, hey, everybody, how you doing? How you doing? It says certain media outlets and media people are still trying to devalue Shedeur. Right, that's the plan. And that should make you see, what it should make you see is he already proved himself in year 1, right? We got college over here. We got year 1 in the summer and rookie mini camp, all of that's Cleveland. And then I got year 2. So if I try to devalue him, and I did in the draft coming out of college in year 1, and he was a Johnny Unitas on winner he was a top 3 pick. He was never going to New York. So we're going to go with top 2. It should have been number 1. And then in year 2, I'm doing the same thing I did in the draft, using the media to devalue him after he balled out at the Panthers game. He had to be set up by Stefanski at the Rams game. The Rams was a deciding factor as to who the starter was going to be. And that's how Dylan got the start, even though Shedeur won the competition. The competition was supposed to be the decision maker. They used the Rams game, so they moved the goalpost. Okay, you won the competition. Let's see what you do in the preseason. They totally ignored the Panthers game, set him up in the Rams game, and used the Rams game. He could use that in court. Because what they can't justify running the competition without calling it a sham. Because the competition was the end of it. See, what's coming into view is how flawed the processes are for the NFL. The evaluation process for quarterbacks, because Shedeur was top 3. Then you push him down and say he was entitled. That has nothing to do with the draft. And it seems like in the draft, the owners get together and undermine all of the damn scouting that has happened for years, their work in college, and the NFL combine itself. So in the draft, the owners like fat cats. Oh, I don't want that person. Oh, I don't want that person. That's what they did. It was on preference. So they undermine any business processes. And if they go to court, they're going to lose. I've said it before. They have already lost this fight. Are they not in federal court because their arbitration process was a sham? Yes. Then guess what else they could end up in court for? The draft process, the combine process, the scouting process was a sham. And it's expected to be a sham again. Until you look through all of those grades and see that people were drafted by the evaluation, then it was always a sham for one reason or another. But the 2025 draft was a sham, and you can prove it. Just like a judge said, y'all don't have a real arbitration process. The players never knew. The players trusted their leadership, who was colluding with the owners. The only recourse these players have are these grades that we're talking about today, where you can get a sense of how they feel. And they were spot on about Cleveland. Cleveland needs new ownership. Not just because that maybe the locker room gets an F, but because they are actively sabotaging their own black quarterbacks. I stand on that. And it's documented and it can be proven. Their processes are a sham. None of it is about talent. Not since the 2025 draft, because the NFL even had Shedeur as a first-round pick, and now they have him in tier 6 with Justin Fields, somebody else they want gone, who they beat up on so badly, he's thinking of switching off to running back and going back to the team that abused him. Stay tuned. Atlanta going to have one interesting year, and so will the Browns. The Browns need new shit. And fans already on fire. So we're going to see what Atlanta does. I agree. They need new ownership. Facts. And I think some of the reason why they have a C and people are like celebrate them having a C, they probably would have gave them owners an F like that. I want to see if any of the owners got an F. I'm thinking maybe the New York Jets or something like that. I haven't looked at all 32 teams, but I might take a look at it. I might get Chat GPT to do some work for me and see what teams had the lowest grades overall for ownership. Because we know Stefanski is the lowest graded coach. It's that they didn't seem to care about the families. Right. And I find that very interesting. Very interesting that the families had a low grade for in Cleveland. It seemed like the Falcons had a good one, but yeah, the Browns just not good. That's just I would love to interview somebody that used to work there. And if anybody out there, my email address is what she said 404@gmail.com. Come from some anonymous email address. I ain't gonna hack you. I promise. Yes, I can do it, but I ain't gonna do it. And I'm just curious. I feel like it's so toxic on the player side of things. Now we're seeing they didn't treat the families. The families weren't graded well. Well, let's talk about the employees that work there. What's going on? What is it, 32, 62 people work there? Something like that? Less than 100? Somewhere around there? What's going on? I would love to run into somebody that used to work for the Cleveland Browns recently. And if you still work there, that's cool. It's there, remind you already know why. It's there because he's winning despite their BS. Yup. It said Flacco didn't really do much. It said, I think he played one half of a preseason game. I was trying to remember how everybody was, the reps was, everybody was injured at certain games. I know Pickett was injured. And I know Dillon was injured. I just never knew about Flacco. But you're right. Flacco didn't have to do much. And since Flacco didn't do much, he didn't need all of those reps. I believe they brought in, they knew they was going to get Dillon. They had Pickett first. So we're going to get Shedeur. That's how this went. When they went back to the Shrine Bowl, it was known that they were interested in Shedeur. When they got to the Combine, it was known they were interested in Shedeur. In March, they got Pickett. Then they were getting Shedeur up until 4-4. At some point, it's reported that they quietly pivoted to Dillon. I need a date. And then on 4-10, they got Flacco. So you know what that could potentially mean. That Shedeur's, the Browns' interest in Shedeur and them baiting and switching was premeditated. And that his draft push to 144 or the 5th round was premeditated. And they knew he would end up somewhere. But he apparently chose Cleveland from what I'm hearing. And Andrew Berry was trying to get him to Baltimore or to Philly because Andrew has connections in those two teams. But if that's not the case, if it's still Cleveland, well, we'll take you. I think you can prove based on Kenny Pickett and Flacco and Dillon, the performance and when they departed, that they were just all brought in to block Shedeur, who they were going to get at number 2 for $40 million, who they got a deep discount on and has an alternative use for. Have y'all figured out what the alternative use for the selection was yet? That they talked about on day 3 of the draft? Likes and clicks. You just sit here and we'll use you for media content, get our views up, likes and clicks. Because they don't talk about trading him, so that's not the scenario. Andrew Berry said Shedeur's going to outproduce his draft stock because they knew he was good, but they didn't want to let him play. And supposedly that's where the rift comes in with Stefanski and personnel decisions, meaning the GM. That it seemed that Andrew Berry was campaigning for Shedeur to play so he could trade him. They could have traded him after the Panthers game. They could have traded him at the deadline. They could be talking about a trade right now. Crickets. All you hear is Shedeur has to compete again. And we getting other quarterbacks. Because what did Andrew Berry, who we thought were campaigning for Shedeur, say? We haven't found our quarterback yet. And he said it with confidence. And he's the one that's pushing the narrative about the competition before Monken takes the podium. So he's clearing the way so Monken don't catch any heat. Monken probably came to the table and said, look, I don't mind working for y'all. I know y'all want me to bring in Arch Manning. I get it. Because he's in that inner circle of their coaching for the Mannings. But I'm not about to go out here and trash my reputation like Stefanski did his. You ain't paying me enough for that. How much you want to bet? So, Barry, I need you to go on out here, and I need you to tell these people we ain't got no quarterback yet, and make sure you don't commit, and Monken gonna go head on and run the competition, but I just need you to make sure he gonna be fine. Yes, sir, boss. So it appears, it remains to be seen that Andrew Berry was playing in Shedeur face all along. Because if he can't pull off a Ivan Newsom type trade and get him gone and it stick, then he was playing in his face. And the reason Andrew Berry got both of the fifth round picks that he used to get Shedeur back at the beginning of the season by trading Flacco and Pickett was because that was always the plan. Which means they were never going to draft Shedeur. The NFL was always going to devalue him. They were always going to lie on him and scapegoat his dad. They were never going to pay him $40 million. And they were just going to use him for likes and clicks. That's a major lawsuit. It's given $1 billion. Shedeur has a reputation. He also has sponsors. So you're going to try to force him to lose his sponsorship by losing, you thought you were going to force him to lose his popularity. So understand this, the NFL itself and the Browns were trying to destroy not Shedeur's football career, but his marketing endorsements as well. Thinking Nike would drop him because we're not going to give you no love. Thinking Gatorade would drop him because we're not going to give you no love. Yep. Stay tuned. This is much deeper than people realize. This is pure hatred for Black excellence. It said, yes, they are substandard. Oh, and injury treatment. Yeah, somebody need to look into that too. They definitely need to look into that. Definitely need to look into that. It said Cleveland players have to pay for the drinks. What? CP asked Shedeur if he had to put $1 on the table. What you mean you got to pay for the drinks? Training is like what Lauren does at Colorado Buffs. Oh, okay. So Lauren is the trainer. Okay. So they're saying their trainers weren't good. Let's see. They had the training room was a C. The training staff was a C+. So they liked the staff a little bit more than they liked the training room. And the locker room was a straight F. The facilities and how did the travel? Team travel is a D+. What do they have them doing? That's interesting. Are they on Spirit or something like that? What's going on with that? What kind of hotels? They have them staying at the Red Roof Inn? What's going on? It's that Kevin was calling the plays He even admitted it. Right. Not taking up for Reese. No, you're right. Kevin Stefanski was calling the plays, but Tommy Reese said the worst thing he could ever say. I love Jerry Jeudy. We're going to feature him more. After Jerry Jeudy harassed Shedeur and was stopping and running on his routes and skipping to Myles, he was right in on it. He was right in on it. That's why they were trying to get him to Michigan, because he proved he was willing to derail a black quarterback, so they're going to send him over there with Bryce Underwood. It said they are slumlords. It's something, because it's really bad. It's really bad. Schwartz was with the sabotage too. I agree. He used to take his best players out and had people questioning him too. Now, here's the thing. Did Stefanski force him to do that? Like, he forced who? Tommy Reese to do certain things. Remember when Tommy Reese came out and said, yeah, Shedeur's developed. He's ready. He's done everything we've asked him to do. And like that, the next week he had switched it on up. Yep. It's like they let him see what side his bread was buttered on. Then they pulled it to the side. Hey, you can't talk like that. Yep. And maybe they didn't trust him to call the plays, but Stefanski was going to always call the plays. We're going to see what's happening in Atlanta, because I don't know. I don't know if this is going to go. They're going to have to win. If they win, maybe people will look the other way, but that don't seem to be the plan, because he coming in with the BS, and it's going to be a long offseason with him talking in word salad, and it's still February. It's still February. It said Josh Allen and Drake May did not get sacked by Myles. Facts. Yep, I totally agree. Teller's wife said, Cleveland, I agree about Schwartz. Oh, yeah. So people are saying, so the players like Schwartz, but fans are like, nah, he was compromised too. I agree. But he got played, didn't he? He got straight played. Why did he think he was going to be the next head coach, and he quit and didn't want to come back there? And you see, they don't care. It's amazing people haven't told on them yet, because they keep burning people. I'm like, so you thought you was going to be the head coach because they let you believe it, because all the shit you was doing for them, setting up your team. See, they got leverage on you. He can't even go tell, because why? He participated. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Yeah, I read me files. That's how they get them every time. You can't come back and tell what we did, because we got you to do it too. So now he played. I don't know if he's going to end up nowhere next year. That's crazy. And Harbaugh said it. The Browns were there all along. And he didn't see he got played. He didn't know. Schwartz didn't know. But you know who did know? Monken. So Monken didn't even tell Harbaugh. Playing each other. And see, you see how they playing each other? That's what they want Jerry Jeudy to do to Shedeur. That's what they want Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward name came up again, y'all. Denzel Ward name came up again today, talking about he's a $32 million salary cap hit. It might be better to move on without him. And they played him too. Shedeur good, because he let them play him, in my opinion. Like, not the way that they wanted him to cower. No. And he in his KFC ad, he's wearing his legendary merch. Yep. And he's using his legendary page more. He keeps the Shedeur Sanders one for his, that's where it says Cleveland Browns. The legendary two is the other stuff. Media. That's how you get into media without attaching it to that. Yep. Separating your business, your businesses. I got legendary, my brand over here. So if they kill the Browns, just take it off the page and keep pushing, because I got legendary going. And you know they didn't want that. To hell with them. To hell with them. Surprising, Drake May stayed getting sacked. Drake May got sacked 25 times. And what did I say about him? I said he must not be that good. That's exactly what I said. I heard the Super Bowl was lackluster. Teller's wife said Cleveland is messy. And when Stefanski got fired, she said, that's what you get playing stupid games. You win stupid prizes. So everybody knows that they retaliated against them, and ain't nobody going to do nothing. That's what just amazes me about this league. It's so much malfeasance and corruption and discrimination going on and derailing of careers. And all they seemingly succeed at is intimidation, coercion, retaliation, and manipulation and silence. Yep. That's the only thing they have succeeded at. It's a hot mess in there. It says it says the Steelers are worse, according. Yeah, I heard the Steelers got an F on their locker room because they only have 5 restrooms for 300 men, because it's 300 players on the team, I think, right? Or is it 300 players on the team? How many players on the team? They have 4 on the depth chart. So 24 times 4. So 2, 4, 6, 80. So I don't know. Maybe it's 300 people work there, but I had a number of 300 from somewhere. But that seemed like a lot. So if it's 105 people or 125 people on the team, I think I was reading their payroll. And I think their expenses per year for payroll was 300 million. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. For about maybe 85 or 90 people. It said, she's not lying, Destiny. It said, how do you reprimand the people that hired you? I'll wait. So how do you reprimand the people that hire you? Sue them. Ramon asked the question. How do you, if this was ABC Corporation Printing Shack, okay, we all work there and we're all standing around the water cooler talking about, did you see what they did to Johnny? How they just basically said they was going to hire him to be like the CFO, and they got him over here in the basement as an intern. How do you hold your boss accountable for that? Most people probably would, because it ain't got shit to do with them. That's one. If you don't need your job, I mean, you might look for another one and go to screw. I don't want to work here no more because it's toxic. People do leave corporations because it's toxic. There was a big conversation about how Sam's Club has major turnover every 6 months, and how it is Costco has tenured people. They don't have turnover like that. People want to work at Costco. People need to work at Sam's, and when they get something better, they leave. The players in the NFL can't choose to just get up and go. Some can get out, though. Baker Mayfield got out. Flacco got out. Pickett got out. Dillon getting out. You see who getting out? You see who can't get out? Malik Willis might be saved because David Mulligetta must be his agent, because that's also Deshaun's agent. And apparently them two can't be on the same team because something about representation. The Mary Cabin lady, I think, was talking about that tonight. I'm sure she was upset. Then they talking about Ty Sampson. So Ty Sampson must not be as good as the Manning kid, because understand that has not changed. This year is a bridge, just like last year was a bridge, and the year before that was a bridge to 2027, or to whenever the kid come out, and it was supposed to be this year. So I don't think they want Shedeur to get out there and win, because he could have won last year. If he could win this year, why couldn't he win last year? And you can't blame Stefanski, because Bucket is still on the same page. They just got Andrew Berry taking the heat this year. Why? Because he's the next one to be gone. So they setting him right on up. He ought to learn from Schwartz. And they probably told him to tell Schwartz, we ain't going to get him. And guess what? That's what it is, organized crime. And that's exactly what it is. But just like they probably told him, Schwartz, you can't get the job. And since they got him doing some of the devaluing and the of black players, including Shedeur, guess what? He can't. Who he gonna run and tell? Who he gonna run and tell? Because they probably use him to play Schwartz. Use him against him, or used against each other. So who he gonna run and tell? Nobody. Like Keith Sweat say, nobody. Nobody. Because you a culprit. You participated. Yep, they on that slick stuff. It's the Atlanta going to get Kevin. Not to Debo, their players now. Yep, let's see. That's the plan. It's that, well, team got the best score. What team got the best score? Oh, I don't know. Anybody know? Let me know. I have to look it up. We are woke straight. Well, we up over here. We are up over here. Blackmailer 2.0. Stefanski just like FC Blackmail. Yes. It's the same tactics. It's the same tactics. Hey, come over here and hang out with us. You want to work for us? Okay, we're going to need you to set up all the black quarterbacks. Oh, We'll do it. And then when you want something, you can't get it. You collateral damage. You got to go. You got to go. Or you can only move at the pace that we set for you. You can't have what you want. You got to take what we give you. Kirk Cousins seemingly is the winner in all of this. 300 and Kirk Cousins' career earnings is $321 million, with 140 or 180 coming from the Falcons. That's crazy. His agent is the winner. Kirk Cousins' career earnings. Yep. $321 million to 331. So it's another $10 million in total career earnings across 14 NFL seasons, ranking him fourth all time amongst NFL players known for maximizing his contract value. Cousins secured approximately $100 million for 22 starts with the Atlanta Falcons before his release, nearly matching Tom Brady's career earnings in far fewer seasons. Who is Kirk Cousins' agent? Because, man, he must be related to somebody. Where they gonna get, the money is gonna stay in the family or something. Because I don't get that. Kirk Cousins' agent is Mike McCartney of Vayner Sports. He has represented Cousins throughout his career, including negotiating his massive contract with the Atlanta Falcons in 2024 and his previous deals with the Minnesota Vikings. It said he negotiated the 4-year, $180 million deal with the Falcons in March of 2024, and now he's gone. And we just got to 2026. So from 24 to 25, 2 seasons, he played or started 22 games. I don't even know if he started all those games. Well, he did start in year 1. That's 18. And just a few games, 4 games in year 2. $180 million. And this man was known for securing, get this, a fully guaranteed contract for Kirk Cousins during their time in Minnesota and continuing in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins has a $180 million fully guaranteed contract for 22 games. That's crazy. That's how much is it? 180 divided by 22, because that's crazy. Do y'all see how crazy this is? That's 8. Is that 8? $8 million a game. $8 million for 22 games. And they didn't go to the playoffs neither year. That's crazy. I wonder if one day there'll be an e-files like Epstein, like files on the NFL or the Browns or the Falcons. It's needed. Somebody need to get them files, because 100. And you know how old Kirk Cousins was when they got that contract? And he was coming off an ACL tear. But Deshaun Watson is trash. And he have an ACL tear too. Y'all help me to understand that, because that's crazy. I'm like, that's just mind-boggling right there. $180 million, that's more than several small countries bring in with GDP every year. That's insane. Why is AB standing like that? It's not a good look. It's that things are becoming very strange around the league. I totally agree. You have connected the dots. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Faith. It's that Watson is really damaged goods, ACL or Achilles. Okay, so if Watson is damaged goods, what did Kirk Cousins show up with to Atlanta and received $180 million at the age of 34? Was it an ACL tear or an Achilles tear? And supposedly he can move on to another team? What injury did Kirk Cousins have? You see how they're talking about Deshaun, but don't have nothing to say about Kirk Cousins? What injury did Kirk Cousins have? Let's see. In week 8 of 2023, he tore his right Achilles tendon. Well, while the Achilles healed well, he later suffered a right shoulder elbow injury in week 10 of 2024, admitting to playing through these issues, which led to a 2025 offseason focused on full rehabilitation and regaining mobility. And in March, the Falcons signed him to $180 million. You will hear me talking about Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson is trash, then Kirk Cousins' contract should have never been a thing. Because why trash Deshaun, but you don't have nothing to say about Kirk Cousins and his injury and his $321 million fully guaranteed contract over his career? I'm assuming he won a Super Bowl or something. Did he win a Super Bowl? So stay tuned for those kind of conversations, because I need an explanation as to why there's so much conversation and narrative about Deshaun being damaged goods, but Kirk Cousins had 3 to 4 times more injuries, more severe, including up to the offseason when he got $180 million fully guaranteed. Help me explain. And he not even with the team no more. But they took a big swing and missed with Deshaun, but the Falcons didn't take a big swing and miss with Kirk Cousins? Yeah, okay. You're going to hear me talking about that, because that's crazy. That's crazy. It's that we see the pattern. Absolutely. Look at who they giving the money to. It's that they said Watson looked good when he practiced, right? But did they give him an opportunity, coach? And I think now they want people to push for him to have an opportunity so they can divide the time between Shedeur, Deshaun, and the third person. That's what I think. Just like they did, it was Deshaun and Jameis Winston and Thompson Robinson. And aren't they all black? See, they've done it before. They just ready to do it again. LeJounte's girlfriend was very complimentary of the Ravens. Yes, we talked about that the other day, Amber. I said it's like night and day, right? The Wags, they all had access to resources. Janiyah talked about how well they are treated, right? And then with the players, Lamar, now Isaiah Likely, we're gonna have to see what happens to LeJounte. There's no guarantees here. I'm gonna put it past him. I do not, because he should have been drafted higher. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. He was already good before. And I think if his coach from his former school wasn't over there, I don't know what would have happened. It's that look up Steelers report card. No wonder Mike Tomlin left. They sent him to the worst team. Let me look up the Steelers report card. It said, it said the Pittsburgh Steelers drew harsh reviews. Home field advantage was a problem. AOL is still a thing? I didn't know. Did y'all know AOL was still a thing? I had no idea. Okay. It said the NFL team report cards, the 2026 Steelers ranked dead last, and the Dolphins ranked number 1. Interesting. So Shedeur to the Dolphins could be a thing. He deserves to be elevated, but I don't know how it's going to work in this league, y'all. The overall grades. Okay, the survey included results from 1,759 players, and it was open from November the 2nd to December 11th. So I don't know if everybody even filled it out. It said the overall grades range from an A- to an F- across 17 categories. And players awarded only 15 A- or A+ grades across the league, with the Commanders receiving the most with 3 different categories. There were 9 F- grades, with the Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals each getting 1 in 2 different categories. Wow. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can get to the Steelers report card individually. Let's see. So we might have to look at some of these teams, because I think if you look at the grades, it kind of tells you the state of the NFL, and are the owners using the teams as a cash cow, but not seriously investing in the facilities, the players, strategizing to win, and equality. Because Kirk Cousins' contract and Josh Allen's contract said equitable distribution of compensation to quarterbacks based by race is not equal. It's not equal at all. And nobody knows why Deshaun Watson has $230 million, and nobody will talk about it. But they trash him, but they don't have nothing to say about Kirk Cousins. Steelers get a harsh reality check. All right, let's see if we can find it in here. Looking for it. It just say they get a harsh reality check. The Steelers are the NFL team with the worst professional environment. Wow. So really, it's funny how when you find out these things are horrible, and people like Coach is saying, now you see why Mike Tomlin left. I don't think he wanted to leave. That's the crazy part. I think he got booted out. They knew he had another year, but the Steelers, see, when they put that in his contract, they knew what was going to happen. They put in his contract in his last year that they get to determine whether he is allowed to coach on another team. And of course, they said no. So he would have to sit out for a year. They said the same thing about McDermott, but he didn't have to sit out. I think they retaliated against him too. So Amber's right. I think it was Amber that said the racism, they being bold with it. The retaliation, that's the retaliation is actually due to the racism. Let's see if I can get the Steelers report card. I don't see it yet. Is this the one from this year? 32 teams. Okay. Oh, somebody have the report for all 32 teams. Okay, let me get to the Steelers. I think they have an alphabetical. I'm going to save this because I could use this to do some quick analysis for another video. Dallas Cowboys, what they have? They were ranked 10th. It said the locker room and the facilities receive high marks as usual, and the Cowboys have a strong reputation for caring for player families. Curiously, former head coach Mike McCarthy was praised for his strong leadership before the team partied with him. Players did call out the team's lacking in training staff. So Mike McCarthy, like Raheem Morris, was praised but got booted out. Denver Broncos is ranked 17th. Might have to look at that. Detroit Lions is 9th. Green Bay is 7th. Houston is 6th. Indianapolis is 19th. Jacksonville, 18th. Kansas City, 26th. What? That's the surprise. But they get a new stadium, right? The Vegas Raiders is ranked 4th, and it should be because they're new. Chargers are 5th. I'm still trying to get to the Steelers. Rams are 21st. Miami is 1st. The Vikings are 2nd, where Kirk Cousins actually was. New England Patriots 31st. And the Saints are 12th. The Giants are 20th. See how the teams with the Giants got is the second richest team. The Dallas Cowboys are the richest team by owner valuation. Then it's the Giants. So they have no justification. Philadelphia Eagles is 22nd. Steelers is 28th. Okay, they said the Steelers are 28th. It said while the team received poor grades for worn down locker room and inadequate training staff, it did improve its family grade from an F- to a C- by introducing game day care this past year. And head coach Mike Tomlin was highly graded for developing a strong team culture, and they fired him too. You see? Let me see if I can share this. So there are several coaches that were graded well and praised by the players, but they got fired. What do y'all think about that? Let me see if I can share it. Interesting. Okay, here we go. All right, coach, this for you since you asked me to do this. Let's see. So here we go. Pittsburgh Steelers. It says treatment of families, a C minus, 26 out of 32. Food and dining areas, a B minus. Nutritionist dietitian, a C plus. Locker room, D. Training room, C plus. So the locker room is a D. I thought it said it was an F. Training staff, a B. Weight room, a C plus. Strength coaches, a C minus. That's one up from a B. That's 32nd. So they have the worst strength coaches. So they all probably have private trainers. That's interesting. Team travel, a B plus. I need to understand why the Browns have a bad grade for that. Head coach, an A. That's something that needs to be justified. Raheem Morris had a better grade than Stefanski, and Raheem was fired. And Mike Tomlin had an A, 7th out of 32 teams, and he was fired. And then they say McCarthy was praised, but he was fired. Got to look at some of these things. And ownership, a D. So the players don't like the owner. You need to look at all of the teams with a D and below for their grades. Y'all, that will be interesting for ownership to see what teams had a grade of D and below on their report cards for ownership. Let me see if Chat GPT will help me out right fast before we get out of here. What NFL team had a grade of D or worse on their 2020, is this 2025 or 2026 recent report card? All right, let's see. Oh, I see the results for all 32 teams, but I'm looking for grades of D or worse for ownership. For team ownership. You think maybe you could massage it right fast and find that information? Let's see. It's thinking. It says it's thinking. All right, here we go. Response A, response B. Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna share this. Let's go. It says NFL ownership grades D or worse, 2025. Is this 2025 or 2026? And this one says 2026. Okay, I think this is the one we want right here. Shout out to whatever this is I'm reading because it gave me two responses. It said in the most recent 2026. Let me make sure y'all can see this. Hold on one second. Okay, y'all, this is good. Then we gonna get out of here. I know it's late. Okay, in the most recent 2026 NFL Player Association player team report card, several teams received a grade of D or worse for team ownership. These grades are based on player feedback regarding ownership's willingness to, one, invest in facilities, contribute to a positive team environment, and hold on one second. Oh, this response is better. Okay. Invest in team facilities, contribution to a positive team culture, and commitment to building a competitive team. Oh, this is good. Okay. New York Jets. Didn't I say the Jets? They up here with an F. And that is the owner that wanted the report cards to go away. And he is in the E files. He's an FC files. Arizona Cardinals, a D minus. Not a surprise. They've been starting for a long time. It's something else going on there. People need to look at it. The Carolina Panthers, a D minus. Oh, wow. I thought they had new ownership. Pittsburgh Steelers, a D. New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, a D. He in the FC files. Cincinnati Bengals, Mike Brown, a D plus. They said the Cincinnati Bengals are trash. See, I'm starting to get the impression that I think that's the worst one. Because see, they gave a C to the Browns. See, if they wanted to help themselves, they would have gave them a D. But see, now you can't say you got to push for the owner to go. That's coming from the fans because the players, they didn't give them a D. They should have gave them a D. They were scared. I don't care what you say. They were scared. It's because them players know how it was before Stefanski got there. Some of them were still around. But some of them were there before Stefanski. At least one or two of them, right? And they know how it's been since he's been there. So So there you have it, the Jets, and he is in the E-Files, and so is the New England Patriots owner is in the E-Files. I don't know about if I remember any of the other names. I feel like I remember the Carolina Panthers owner being in there. Yeah, I kind of remember that. So, yep, they should have gave them Kansas City. See these? Look at these, y'all. 2026 ownership grades. D minus, D minus, D, D. Cincinnati Bengals, D plus. Kansas City Chiefs is a C minus. So if all of the teams mostly have like the majority of the teams, if it's determined that the majority of the teams have a C or below, what does that say? That the owners are using the teams as cash cows. They don't care about the sports because they're not trying to make the team competitive. They're not trying to invest in the facilities because they don't take you seriously. They just want the returns. That $452 million check that they all each get for TV rights. Yep. And the star that they get from the real estate deal with them running out, buying 200 acres and building their own star in their respective team cities. That's a real estate deal. That's what it becomes. It's no longer about football. It's about the real estate and it's about the TV rights. They don't care about the rest. So I don't know. I have to see how many of the teams had C or worse. I have to check that out for team ownership. All right, y'all. We're going to get ready to get out of here because it was late. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. Monkey better watch it. Yup. You see how they set up each other? All it needs is somebody to start pointing fingers online. O-line is not a skill position. Okay, so what position do they want to turn white? They said mostly the skill positions. So we're going to have to see if they're going to work on that. So if they don't consider the O-line position white, and did y'all hear them? This might tie into that. What about the tight end? Because I heard them say, and I had to rewind, that Harold Fanny Jr., because Njoku's gone, Harold Fanny Jr. is the tight end of the future. Who is the tight end now since Njoku is gone? If Harold Fanny Jr. is the tight end of the future and Njoku is gone, who is the tight end of the now? Who do y'all think that's going to be? Is that one of those skill positions? Let me know. Skill positions in the NFL are the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, the tight end, and the fullback. Okay, I don't know about the running back, but the 49ers got it. The quarterback, we see them working on that. The tight end, I think we might be working on that. They don't play with a fullback for the most part. I think they had one. But I think the tight end, I just asked the question. What was the question? If Harold Fanny Jr. is the wide receiver of the future, they just got rid of Njoku, who was tight end one. And he's gone. Who is tight end one right now? Could that be that skill position that's getting ready to flip to the one that ripped off Shedeur's fingernail? Number 86? Are they going to draft the tight end in the first round? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So we got the tight end positions, skill positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and fullback. They say other skill positions are defensive back and return specialist. Well, if Haslam want to turn all those positions white, yeah, it's going to take some time. Then again, it can happen in this draft. See what they do with their 10 draft picks. Remember, at the trade deadline, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. So you think they get ready to load up? Are they going to load up in the first round? Or are they going to trade those first round picks for next year's first round to get the Manning kid or somebody else? People think that they're going to get a wide receiver in the first round. The last time the Browns drafted a wide receiver in the first round, it was 2016. It's 10 years since then. So maybe it's true about the skill positions. Let's see what happens to the tight end. All right, we're going to get out of here. This was excellent. We got a lot to talk about. Thank y'all so much. Please hit the like button. It's 150 of us tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed the conversation. Lots to talk about with these team owners and these poor grades. I said it would kind of give me an idea of, the state of the league and kind of to see what the teams are being used for. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more to see how many team owners have falling grades. And if it's above the majority, then it's what I said. Real estate deals to get the star and cash cows for TV rights. Not competitive play, not the players, not the facilities. All right. We're going to see y'all tomorrow. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. Go Buffs. We'll see y'all soon.